Unfortunate. Okay, I'm originally from Colombia. I lived in France for a while, so my parents still live there, so we go to France quite a bit. My brother manages that Nike store, so it's not that we're obsessed with Nike. It's just I wanted to take a picture in front of the Nike store that he manages. Okay. I came to America with a baseball scholarship.
Yay!
I came here. I graduated from Ave Maria University, which is where Chris went. I played baseball there, and I graduated with a biochemistry degree, which clearly is completely useless for me at this point in my life. But not everything in college was useless because while I was in college, I met my wife there, and you know, I tricked her into going on a date with me. I told her I was going to be a baseball player, and it worked out. And now we have two beautiful kids, although at home nobody really cares about baseball anymore. It's everything about softball. We like to say in the softball community that softball dads are like baseball dads but with bigger balls. So these are my daughters, this is my wife, this is what I do. Everything else is just noise. Okay. What do we do? So we do residential mortgages. Residential mortgages is anything you can live in, whether it's an 80-unit complex or, a manufactured home, we can do it. What we cannot do is clinics, offices, things like that, things where not that you can't live, but you shouldn't live in your office. So we can't do that. The other thing is we're a bank and broker, meaning we can do everything in-house. We can finance the project ourselves, or we can find a broker to do it. If somebody has a better program or better rates, we can find it through them. We do in-house processing and in-house underwriting, so everything is in-house. We can move really fast. We've closed loans in 7 days when need to, and we're licensed in all 50 states. So I've done loans for Georgia for you and Ohio and all that, so just all 50 states. We do weird loans. So like I was saying, if you don't qualify for whatever reason, a lot of people don't qualify because they just became self-employed or they haven't been self-employed for 2 years. We can still do the loan for them. It's not just for drug dealers. The other thing is, all the stuff that you see down there, I'm a top 1% originator, which nobody cares except for me, but that means that, I've done a lot of loans for the past 5 years, so it's 5 years in a row. One thing that I think is pretty cool is now I'm considered an industry speaker. We're giving a lot of keynotes on AI and how to use AI in mortgages. We've been to Dallas, we've been to California, we've been to Vegas, and we just got invited to the biggest conference in mortgages, which is Mastermind Summit for this year. So I think that's pretty cool. I also have a company called ContentDay.ai, which just edits. It's just a video editing company, mainly for real estate and mortgages. But if somebody has a need for that, I can help. But again, nobody cares about that because it's not about the loans. It's about the lives that we change. Because we really are in the business of changing lives. Look at Frank before he did a loan with me versus after he got a loan with me. His life changed completely after this. Okay, our process is very simple. We have 5 touch points that we think are extremely important throughout the transaction. First, we do a discovery call, pre-purchase consultation, offer call, contract call, and then the post-closing call. And after all of this, you just keep buying homes from us. This is the point. The point is to avoid landmines. In the state of Florida, you can buy a house, and that house, the taxes can triple or quadruple the next year. People don't know that. Even lenders and realtors don't know that. And it's important for you to know what's going to happen with your taxes. Or this is an example. There's a house for $222,000 versus a house for $290,000. And the house with the lower price has double the taxes of the house with the higher price. Again, when we qualify you on a payment, not on a loan amount or not on a purchase price. So it's important for you to know all of this before you even step foot on a house. The other thing is the different strategies. Yes, rates are higher right now, but Chris, right now, his rate is in the 3% or 4% because of the different strategies that you use. For example, if you go to a market like this one and you start negotiating for price and you lower the price of a house by $20,000, the impact that does on your payment is only $100 a month. But if you use those same $20,000 to lower your rate, the impact that has to your payment is $373 a month, which is the same as lowering the price by almost $70,000. It's about the right way to negotiate, because at the end of the day, the decision to buy a house is a financial decision. So that's why we have those consultations at the beginning. It's not just, hey, here's your rate and you qualify. The other thing is unique needs. Not everybody has the same needs. You're a first-time home buyer, you don't have any money to put down. That's going to be very different than somebody that has the money to put down but don't show any income in their taxes. And look, today in particular, I want to talk about two things. The first one is investors. Investors is important to me, especially in this market, because again, in real estate and lending, we are very lazy. Lazy because for the past 5 years, houses have gone up 20% every single year, so it's super easy, and rates were 2%. So just buying a house just made sense. But right now, we just got slapped in the face by the reality that houses are only going up 3 to 4% every year, which, by the way, it's just the average, historical average in this area, and that rates are 6%, which is below the historical average. So why does it make sense to still buy a house, especially if you're an investor, which everything is just about the numbers? This is a real example of a house that I bought because I get high on my own supply. I drink my own Kool-Aid. This is not just like, oh, in an ideal world, this is a house that I bought last year with a 6.875% rate, not a low rate. Okay. So I purchased the house for $400,000 using a loan, obviously. Now, I did what's called a cost segregation analysis. The bunch of nerds like him that go to the house and they separate the house on a couple things. They look at what is the cost of the land, just the land of the property. Boo, we want that number to be low. And they also look at the rest of the house and they go, okay, there's this portion of the house that's going to depreciate faster, and that this portion of the house is going to depreciate in a long time. We care about that portion because we can do depreciation every single year. He takes that number, divides it by 27.5, and every single year I can deduct that from my income. But because we did a cost segregation analysis and we have the separation between the $88,000 and the $236,000 for my taxes this year, I can take my income, do a minus the $88,000, do a minus the $8,616, which is 236 divided by 27.5, and now my taxable income is much lower. This is actually saving me do the math, about $24,000. This is saving me $24,000 in actual taxes that I'm not paying the IRS this year. Guys, I did this in 2 properties last year. So basically, the IRS is paying me, the government is paying me to invest in properties. And you can do this in as many properties as you want just by using this. Now, talk to him. There's nuances to this. Talk to him about doing this year so that you or your spouse can qualify as the rep. But this is a great hack because in addition to this, I still have my $2,000 in tax savings every single year until I'm done with this house. And I also can deduct all of these other things from my taxes. That's beyond my cash flow on the property, which right now it's $563 a month. So again, it's not just the $563 a month, which is not super exciting. What's exciting for me is I'm saving $25,000 in taxes this year. Now, appreciation, we're expecting a 3.8% appreciation this year, which is lower than the historical appreciation, but that's okay. Because when we look at this, oh, look at this guy. That's the real drug dealer. Okay, when you look at this, hey, I look at if this makes sense for me or not, and I do it in a 10-year window. In a 10-year window, my rental income is gonna be good. Appreciation is gonna be all right. I'm gonna have $550,000 in gross revenue, but then the expenses. How do you calculate expenses? You calculate the cost of Dan when he sells the property, because that's my exit strategy. You calculate maintenance. You calculate some vacancy too, because the house is realistically not going to be rented every single month forever. And even after that, my profit is $280,000, which is 156% return on my investment, because my investment was just my down payment and my closing costs. Guys, the decision to buy a house still makes sense, especially right now. If you're a high income earner, you can use this and pay way less taxes. Last thing I want to talk about, I know I probably don't have a lot of time, is reverse mortgages. I know I joke a lot about reverse mortgages, but that's just because I like to call you people old. But it's a fantastic strategy for somebody that's retired, somebody that it's not getting as much income as they want, and this is not taxed because it's not considered income, right? So real quick, there's 2 types of reverse mortgages: purchase and refinance. You can buy a house with a reverse mortgage. You have $200,000 cash, but you want to buy at $300,000. You buy the 300, you put 200 down. You reverse mortgage 100,000. You never make mortgage payments in your life. You can do loans forever. You can get paid forever, get a lump sum, or get a combination of all of that. You qualify if you're 62 years old or older. Some programs allow 55. It's only for primary residence only. And look, this is the biggest thing for me. You're guaranteed equity for your heirs. This is the concern that people have with reverse mortgages. I'm just giving my home away to the bank and they're just going to take advantage of me. First of all, you only get about 73% if you're 95 years old. And let's say for whatever reason, you live until you are 150 years old and the market crashes. And by the time you die, the house is worth 50% of what the bank gave you. Well, your heirs, my daughters, can either just walk away and say, hey, that's your problem, not my problem. Doesn't affect their credit. Or they do an appraisal on the house and they can buy the house for 95% of the value of the house when I pass. They always have guaranteed equity because of the non-recourse.